Right. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Whatever time that you're going to see this tutorial, as promised, this is our programming second year. At this moment, remember, we started with the theoretical side of using XAML-based UI. And then I promised to do a video to continue because we only did one small application that accepted an input from the user. And then we didn't format the user interface per se. So I just want to do maybe two application. Could be a little bit smaller and one big one. So that's what we're going to do. So the application that I want us to do now is, I call it a car rental application. So what's going to happen with this application is that users should be able to view the types of cars that they want. And then I want this application to have sort of a navigation bar. So you can think of this as a website. You'll have a website where you have a home page and then you have all other pages in the website. So that is what I want us to do. It's a web application, but using the XAML-based programming. Well, I say programming, but as I said, this is not a programming language, but that is what we're going to do. So in our web application, we want to have a navigation that will have two pages, home page, and then a page that I call rent a car. And then on the home section, what I want to do is to display some sort of a picture and then a company description so that it can welcome the users. And then I also want to put a video. I just want to show you guys how you can put like multimedia, like you are not limited to adding images. You can also add videos, audios, whatever you want. This is a way of designing the UI part. And as you can see that all this description that I'm telling you, they don't have any implementation. The implementation part, we will do that on another class. And then when the user clicks the rent a car page, and then it should allow the user to browse the cars by brand, by model, not to filter. You can say browse or filter, but the users should be able to find the car by their brand, their model, and then the price. And then they can just click a button to say they want to rent that particular car. So nothing fancy. When they click that button, we just print out the message confirming that they've selected that particular car and they want to rent it. So that is our main use case that we need to develop an application. So I'll start from scratch and start the application. So remember, I told you that the best thing that you can do for yourself is to do a rough sketch on your side, especially when you want to do a UI. First, visualize the UI, and then the implementation part, or with the side of coding, you'll do that last. So start with the user interface, make it the way you want it to look like, but also have users in mind while you're busy doing that. So if you're watching this video for the first time and it didn't come to our session where we introduce XAML, what you need to do is that you're going to search at the top if you don't have it. And then what you want to search is not WPF application. We are doing XAML at this stage, so we don't want that one. And then what we want is the one that the Windows Form application, and make sure that inside of the bracket of the parentheses, you have the .NET framework. We can search it there at the top. If you have used it before, you will see it appearing in this site. So because I have it, I'll just select it, and then I'll just click next there. Then I can call this car rental or application. And then the framework, that is fine. And then once you're done the location, I'll leave it as default, but you are more than welcome to change that should you not like it. And then you can click create. You just have to wait a bit. No, this is not the one that I want to have done this. For my students, I do, if you're watching this and you're not in my class, we have a session where we went through this one. I don't want that one because that one it's a drag and drop. Yes, it's WPF application. I will do another video for the drag and drop because what we're doing, we do one session using XAML, and then we do one session doing the drag and drop side of doing your user interface. So let's call this, because I already have that name, I'll call this a rental. Rental app. And I'll leave everything else as default. And then the framework here from 7.0 to you're completely fine. You can select or you can choose the latest one, it's okay. All right, this is the one that we want. Just hold on a bit. All right. So we already have a background of what is happening here. Just a quick recap. You'll have two tabs that will be open for you. The one is, it shows the main form, which is called main window.xaml. And then this is where your UI is going to go in. This is not the coding side of things. We only doing the user interface. And then you have another window there that shows you the class. So this side, this is where your implementation will go in. At this moment, we only have a class main window, and then it extends. Okay, let's see if this thing wants to work. You'll realize that we have main window, which extend window. So these are the class that are developed for us by default, but all the implementation will come this side. So we'll do this later on. So the first thing is to do the UI. Just going to open a little bit of space there, and then here as well. So as you know that when we deal with XAML, you have two sections where you have your UI there, and then here, this is where you define how your UI looks like. We talked about this. You can see the name that I provided my application there. It's called the rental car app. And then this is the form, the class that has been created when we went to this class, that one. So now, you have a title there that you can change should you want, and then I've showed you how to change this height. You can just drag and drop and change it. The numbers will change for you automatically. And then you are provided with the following tags. You can call them tags if you want, or you can call them objects. But think of your HTML days where you have tags that you used in together with your elements. That is the same thing. And I said to you that this one that is created for you, you don't necessarily need to use it. You can change it as much as you want, but then depends on you. Okay, so let's start. Please have in mind what our objectives for this one. We said we're creating a rental car, and then we said we want to have 2 pages. We need to use some sort of an image and a video, and then we should be able to allow the user to rent the car, and that UI should have some sort of a filter in order to allow the user to choose it by the car, by the brand, the price, the model. And then once they are satisfied, they can just click a button, and then a message will be printed. So now, I'm not going to delete the grid because, as I say, that think of the grid as a short word of saying grid lines, which there tells you that you are dealing with a table. So, and when you're dealing with a table, it means that at some stage you're going to use columns, you're going to use rows. So this helps us to organize our layout in a tabular format. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the grid lines in order to define our rows and our columns. You will see as we go on, it will help me to organize my logo because I'm going to add a logo here, which will be that part of your image site. So now I will add a comment. Okay, we can say here we define rows and columns to organize our layout. Okay, it's good enough. All right, so now let's do that. So in order to do that, I'm going to call the property of grid. I'll start with defining the rows. So I can just go to the second one that says grid row definition. And then remember you close. And then the moment you close, you will be suggested. Let me just maybe for now, I'm going to hide the top so that we can have enough space here. All right. And remember that when you're busy doing this, you can see the changes there immediately. But at this stage, I'm not interested on how it looked like. I just want to make sure that what I'm putting there, it appears like that. All right. So we have our rows definition, and then inside then we can define how our row in terms of size it's supposed to be like. So in order to do that, I'll call another child property for row. You can see that once you are inside, the IntelliSense, it knows what you can use and what you cannot use once you have your properties. So I'll go again and say row definition. What do I want? Again, the moment I press space, you are suggested of all these elements that you can use. For me, I just want to define the height at this stage. And I'm saying, okay, the height at this stage, I don't know how it's supposed to be, but I want it to be auto. Can be small letters, doesn't matter. And then this will be a self-closing tag. Okay, now I have that, and then I'll go again and say, all right, I want at least a one space so that it moves to the right side or the left side. So how do we do that? I'll do the definition again, and then I'll say the height. Then you can put a star there. The star, what it does is that it allows you to move at least one row up, one row to the left. So I will talk about this in a class, or you can just search. There are a couple of ways that you can do this. You can either put a number, or you can just put a star inside there. It does do the same thing, but most of the programmers, they like putting a star to say that, okay, just spaces. I'm talking about the space movement here. If I put a number and say 5, and then it will move the space 5 spaces in order to get what you want. As I said, that these ones, it's you trying them out over and over until you see that it works. Okay. So now I have that. I'm going to go out of my rows definition and say, okay, at this moment, I want to add a logo. Okay, we'll say add a logo. In terms of your user UI, I will argue that your XAML is way powerful than your drag and dropping. This is why I was reluctant to say to you guys that you can use it, because it restricts you. You will see now as we go. So HTML days again, in order to add an image, you just call an image object or class, and then you provide, you say where is it coming from? That is your source. So now, what we need to do now is to go to our internet, prefer Chrome. I'm going to download a video, not at this stage, car rental logo. Okay, this looks good. And then I'll just right click it. And then we can call this logo. So at this stage, I'm just going to drop it here. Anyway, so what I want to do is to reduce this size. Okay, partition my screen. And then I'll just open this side. So what I want to make sure now is that I'm going to create a folder where I'm going to store my multimedia. So in order to do that, you write the name of your project, and then you can say add, and then you can say new folder, and then let's call these images. And then inside of those images, in fact, we didn't need to split the screen for Chrome. Now I have my logo there. So what I want to do is to left click and hold, and then drag it, and then make sure that the blue line, it stops inside the folder that you want to put your image. So I'll let go, and then you can see that my image is stored there. All the multimedia that you're going to do the same thing, create a folder. You can put it here, but it's not advisable because your code is not clean. So what you need to do is to put it inside, create a folder and separate it. Remember your web development, again, it comes in so that your code is clean and it's easy to maintain. Okay, we don't want it. All right, we do want the source. So what we need to do is that you click the picture once, left click, and then under the properties, if you don't see the properties, you will go to view, and then all the way down there, you will see where it says properties window, or you can press F4. Okay, for me, it's already there. So what I want to do under the properties, all these properties that are activated here, they have to do with this particular image that I've selected. So I'll go all the way down there that says full path. This is important because if you don't get the full path, and then your multimedia won't be able to work. So I'll just click there. I will click so that everything is highlighted, or you can click once, click Control A. Then I'm pressing Control C to copy. Then I'm going inside of my double quotation, Control V. And then you can see now it copied everything where my image is located. That is the path. Remember we said source? The source is just a full path or a path. Where is it located? That's basically what it means. All right. So now I'm going to format my image, because if I leave it like this, it's going to fill up my entire screen or UI. I don't want that. So I'm going to tell it that I want my own height. And then I'm going to say my own height will be 100 points. Again, I'm not done. This is up to you how you want to format your image. So I'll say, okay, also do vertical alignment for me. I want to put it at the top. Okay, I'm not done. And then once I'm done with that one, I want to put the margin. The margin you can think of with the lines that you see on your Word document is the same thing with the space between your lines or your rows, if you want to say it. Think of how you do type your assignment in Word application. So I'll say margin, and then I can say that, okay, I'm going to give it a margin of 10 points, and then I'll use this as a self-closing tag. Hope that is enough. Okay. Right, move. Maybe let me put this. I'll move a bit so that when you watch it, you can go back and be able to view everything that I've done there. Okay, I think that's better. You can play it over and over just to go back. Right, so I'm done with my image part. So what I want to do now, I will test it once I'm done with my UI. So I want to add my navigation bar now. So what I'm going to do, I'll add a comments. It's a good practice, by the way, to add comments. So I'll say add navigation menu. Okay, I have my navigation menu, and in order to do that, remember a trick that I taught you guys in class, that when you're dealing with XAML-based UI, it's a matter of you knowing what you want to add as part of your front end. So if you know what to add, then you go and call it by its name. Okay, let me do save before the VM kicks me out. So it's a matter of you knowing what you want to save, right? And then once you know, not what you want to save, what you want to add in your UI. Once you know what you want to add, then you can just call it exactly by its name, and then you'll be able. For now, I want to add a navigation menu. So you can start by typing navigation if it doesn't pop up, and then type in menu. So let's say menu. Okay, we can see that menu exists. Okay, I'll say, okay, I want to add a menu, which is fine. And then in my menu, I'll say, okay, using the grid rows that we talked about, I want you to use this element. I'll say, okay, I'll give you the points of 0, the grid rows. And then again, this is a trial and error. You will not get it first time. So the reason that I know what to do is because I tried it. And then you have, I want to put it there at the top because the navigation should be at the top. So I'll just close this. This is not a self-closing tag because inside there I need to create the pages that is clickable when the users click it. So all right. Okay. So now, child elements, it's the menu item that you can use. So I'll say, okay, header, the same header that you see on Word. So it's that text that you see there at the top. Remember when you're dealing with, you're writing an assignment where they want you to format some other pages to have like headings. It's the same thing. So I want to call this home. Please don't make it long for this one because it's just represent a page. Then I'll say, okay, because I want this to be clicked, it should be a button. So I'll just say click, and then I'll put and there. Here's an interesting thing. So now, the moment you right click, there behind the scene, it says that, I sense that this is a button. It means that you are going to have to implement this button. It says, I can create an event handler for you. An event handler is the implementation that you're supposed to do. So in this stage, I will leave it, but I will show you guys, if you want to use the default one, it's completely fine. So what you can do, you can press tab, and then it will create one for you. But as I said, for me, I feel like the best way is to do it yourself because it does assist you. But let's just leave this one. And then the second one, I'm going to define it myself. Right. So, and while you did that, if we go to the class, you can see that here now we have an event handler. So this is where the implementation will go in. So maybe you can do this and say, okay, add a comment. This is where the home page implement implementation should be either. Okay, it's not important. Okay, this should be a self-closing tag. You know the drill. We're going to do the second page. So same menu, item, reader again. And then remember we said we're going to call it rent a car. Right. And then I'll say click. Then I'll put an equal sign. Say, I don't want that because it's going to give you menu item click again. So I'll define this myself and say rental. And then you put an underscore because the space, it won't take it. And then I'll say click. Self-closing tag. Okay. Now, we're done with our menu. So this is just for interest's sake. We execute our application. And then let's see. It says the Windows rental XP specify the rental car device does not exist. Okay, so what we need to do now is to get this down. Not sure if you guys can see this, but let me zoom in. So you can see we have our tab there. And when you go all the way there, you can see, yeah, it's not in an ideal position, but hey, you guys, you can move this around in order to put it where you want. So it's crying now because this does not exist. Remember, it's a button, these two. So what you need to do, double click it. And then now it is created this. Why did I put an extra C there? Right. So that looks good. Then let's go back. Yeah, I put an extra C there. This was not necessary. Oh, I misspelled click. So let's do this. And then you can see now. Guys, this, you can go around and play this around. I don't want this to take time. So then ideal logo will sit there. That will be an ideal logo, but let's just leave it there for now because that is not really important. So we know everything is fine. And when it goes wrong, just check the error once again. and be able to troubleshoot. It's very sensitive. Again, XAML, it's case sensitive. Please don't forget it. So now, let's go and add the content of our website. So I'm going to add a comment here and say, okay, adding information. I might cut this video a little bit short because where I am, they might kick me out, but we'll see as time goes. Then if I cut it short, I'll do another one. Hopefully I'll be able to finish this application. Adding information on our web application. Okay. I'm still inside of our grid. This is the one that I defined at the top, so that's why I'm still inside. What I'm going to do now is that I'm still going to use the grid because I've already defined these guys, the object. So what I want now is to use the grid. And then I say dot and see, okay, what do you have inside? I want the row. Say grid row. There we go. And then I can say, okay, give me one row. On the first row, and then I want to name this. I'm naming this row that I'm dealing with. That's why I'm writing the name. And then we can call this, let's call this content area. This will help us to put our content inside of our application. Okay. It should be there, and then we open. We're moving. Please don't be alarmed when you see the errors as you're typing. These guys, it complains a lot if it's not completed. So you'll see the errors will disappear once we supplied with everything that we need. All right. So inside here, I'm going to partition the content based on the pages that we have. We have two pages, remember, a home page and the rent a car page. So let's start by adding content, or we can say home page content. Okay, by the way, here, even if you see green street line, that does not, it's not good. You don't want any lines whatsoever. So I'm going to add a stack panel. We talked about this. So it's called a stack panel. It must call it. I'm lazy to type. Okay, stack panel. Surprised it's not showing. Okay, wow, it doesn't still running this. And stop running the application. Okay. All right, just want to verify something. Okay, there are grid lines. We're still working inside there. And then a grid row. And then it might cry that it doesn't want a child inside of a child. Okay, let's just do it. Stack panel. Okay, I want to get an error here and find out why it's doing this. Because usually it should give us a suggestion. I'll call this home content. And then I'll say, okay, visibility. I want these to be visible. And then we say visible. And then I can close this. This is a stack panel. Okay, the errors are going down, so it's going well. So inside there, I'll add an image once again, image. You know the thread. You have a source. So now let's go and get an image. You can get that one. You can get any image of your choice here. I'll call this IMG content. Okay. And then we're gonna go back. The same thing that we have done. And then I'll go where I stored my picture, that guy, drag it and drop it there. Select him, and then go to the full path, copy, and then you go and put it inside of the source. Okay, now it's just a matter of formatting your picture. I want the height first. Our height, we can set this to 200. And then I want the margin. Then we can set this to 10. I find it easier to use margins of 10. So you can try that as well as you go. So, all right, we've done with our image. So now we just want to display a static text, like we refer this as a label. As you have seen on the Windows form, the drag and drop, it's called a label. But this side, it's called text block. It's just displaying a static text. So what you do with that is that you're going to say you want text block. Don't forget that. And then under text, you provide and say, what do you want your users to see? So for me, I can say, welcome. We've done this last week on our last class when I made you guys do a user interface. So just type welcome to, let's call this Varsity Car Rental. Okay, so I'll go this way because I want to change the font size of this text. And then I'll say, okay, let me put the font size of 20. You can bold it, you can do anything you want. It's up to you, anything. And then you can add font style, not important. And then I'll add crash. Oh, there we go. All right, self-closing tag. And then we can also print something just for interest's sake, or do the text block again. Remember, these provide you with your static text and say, okay, we do offer the best cars for rental at an affordable price. Okay, at an affordable price. You just want to make it longer so I can show you something here. You can find any dream car of your choice. Just visit us and pick a car of your choice. So this text is way, way, way long. So now, in Word, if you have a text that is too long and you want it to confirm into maybe in a cell, you used text wrap. So that's what you're going to do here as well. So let's just put a comma there to make it look nice. So I'm going to use text wrap called text wrapping, and then we can say, okay, I want to wrap this. We can just type wrap. And then lastly, Margin again, I love it. I'll put the margin of 10, and then self-closing tag. Okay. And then lastly, here we can say, I want to put a video on it. This is what I was telling you guys, that you are not limited. So the video use what we call media element. Same goes for your audio, and then you just want to get the source. Okay, let's get a video quickly. So we'll go to YouTube. Oh, okay, I'm rejecting all. Okay, say car rentals. Please note, this is for educational purposes. Don't go and take other people's videos without their consent. You will be in trouble if you do that. So I'm just going to put this on mute. Okay. And then let's get a live car reviews. So my favorite channel is Car Wow. Just wanna get at least one video that made is reviewing. Okay, let's get that one. I love this channel. So I wanna download this video. I'm not going to explain what I did there. It's not right. But that's the best way that you can use to save download videos. You can use third parties. So I've already downloaded my video. It's there. So let me just rename it. You can say video. Let's call it car. Wow. So now we go back to our application. You can collapse this. And then I'll go there and then I create another folder. Then I can say videos. Okay, can close that. And then you go there, get your video, same thing. Please note that the more multimedia you add on your website, the slower it will be for execution. Right. Again, I'll double click there to get the path. And then I'll just paste it. Okay. And then we can say, let's give it a height of 200. And this is experimental. And you can format this video to the way that you want. This is just to show for demonstration purposes. Right. So we have that. And then let's see now, because we have a lot of lines here. So let's see a list of our errors. Okay, it says that the Windows does not contain definition for rental click. We've done that. The rental accepting first argument rental car app would be found. Then let's see, what did I miss? Okay, notes here. Okay, let's start. We have grid and then the draw. Then we assign a value of 1. And then we provide a name, which is what we have done. White space is missing. I don't know where does it want me to put a white space there. That's interesting. Okay, fine. And then let's see there, what is it saying? Property row does not sub StackPanel. Yeah, I figured that it's going to. Right. So let's go back to our definitions. There, the top. We don't necessarily have errors, but I don't like leaving these lines unchecked because it might give us issues later on. Okay, we have menu grid. Yeah, guys, made a mistake there. So the white space that it's talking about is this one. So that is grid. There we go. One small thing, cost everything. There we go. Now we're talking. Okay, let's run our friend and see how our friend looks like. We're moving. Okay, you can't scroll down, unfortunately. Just there. Right. So if you had a lot of long paragraph there, it was going to wrap it nicely. So looking good. You see, looking good. So you can't click all of these things. These are static. Of course, in a real world, you'll want to put this there, the top logo this size. You can add this according to how you see it fit. That is up to you. Let's see. Yeah, we have to put it top, unfortunately. It's bothering me, but hey, I'm taking time. Need to finish this application. Okay, so we have done that. So now let's go to the meat of this application, which is the rent a car button. Okay, inside of, we have done this one, I'll still remain inside of my grid lines that I just defined now. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but this time it will be the content of rent a car. Please go and fix it so that it looks nice on your site. So we can say rent a car. You'll have to fix it so it looks nice. Okay, let's pick up a pace. We'll say StackPanel, and then let's give it a name. I don't like using that because it gives me an X there that I don't want. So I'll type it and then get that one. And then we're going to call this rent up, no space on this one because this saves as a variable name. Well, in double open quote and close quote. Content. And then remember the visibility is very important. Yeah. Remember the visibility is very important. So just said, just hold on guys a bit. All right, guys, I need to wrap this one up and then I will continue where we left this session, but let me just do the rental part for now quickly. And the projector is complaining. All right, let me stop here for this session and then I'll share this video and then we'll continue with the last remaining section. Remember the last section, we're going to add the content to allow the user to browse different cars by the model, the price, and the brand. And then our UI will be complete, and then we only do the visibility. Let me see if we can quickly pull this one. Okay, so let me set the visibility. Okay, I want to set this so that it's visible to the user. Otherwise, if we don't do that, it will. Okay, this is a filter. So we want to make sure that it's collapsible. Okay. You can see something's happening behind this spec. So I'll add a text block again just to add a label. And then get a text. Inside a text, remember this is a static text. So we're telling our user browse cars. And then I just want to format this again. And then I'll just use the font size, pick 20, because I've seen that it works well. And then a margin of 10. Then you can add more formats. And then this is a self-closing tag. Then I'm going to do, we did a combo last week using the drag and drop. So let's see how can you do a combo here. In order to do that, you just call it by its name. You want to use a combo box. That combo box, remember the label, you give it a name, which I said it's a variable name in open and close quote. Then let's give this a variable name in quotation marks. So we're going to call this brand. This will be important when you do your implementation. So the name that you put here, you're going to use it later on when we code in order to call this combo box, because we want our user to select. All right, so that will be the name, that is fine. And then I'll just provide a margin once again of 10. Self-closing tag, not self-closing tag because we want a list of combo items. And then inside of my list item, I'll just say combo box item, and then you close that. And then you can say brand. Let's say Toyota. Okay, you can add this as much as you want, but for time's sake, I'll just add 3 brands. Paste, paste, combo item, and then I'll call this VW. I'll call this one P. You'll do the same thing for a model and everything else that you want towards the end. So you're going to do this for a brand, the same thing. A model, the same thing. And then once you've done all these 2 sections that are left, is to add a button, because all of these things must go somewhere. Okay, then let's give a content. Remember, content is the name that is going to appear on the button. So let's just say rent, keep it short. And then I'll provide a margin once again. Note that. Margin of 10. And then on click, where you're supposed to get an event handler. So you say click, put an equal sign. and then I'll use the default one there, the button click, it's okay. And then self-closing tag. All right, I'll stop here. The next session that we're going to have, it will be us doing the implementation for this application. So, but first, before we go, let's just execute and see how it looks like. Okay, we have that. Okay, it looks good. And then if you click a run button, for now you won't see anything because we don't have the implementation. So it's just clicking. And then once we have the implementation, when the user clicks this, they will be able to choose the cars that they want. So far so good. So let's continue this one either in class or you'll get a tutorial once again. Okay, I'll save and I'll put this on VCLN for you guys to go through the code. All right. Sharing.